Every time one of these mass shootings comes out, I consider the fact that things aren't always as they seem, and so I wait for signs. The first thing that pops up is the narrative. What are the talking heads feeding you? And this means from all sources, the right and the left. Those are the ones writing the scripts. After I look at what they want us to think, I begin looking at what the alternative media is putting out that isn't being covered on the mainstream channels. Then I validate the information and consider what the truth could possibly be. This video had another clue for me to look at. If you remember, it was widely reported that there were 17 injured in the recent school shooting in Minnesota. That told me to look one other place, and I will put a link for you. But when you search the word Minneapolis, you get two returns. The first says infiltration instead of invasion, and the second says, important to understand. Only at the precipice, moment of destruction, will people find the will to change. My thoughts are we are coming to a precipice now. I'm going to break this video up into several sections. The shooter and his parents, his mental condition and drugs, and his journal. So let's look at the shooter first. Robin M. Westman was only 23 years old, born on June 17th in the 2000s. Westman was a transgender individual who legally changed his name from Robert Paul Westman to Robin M. Westman in January 2020, at the age of 17. According to court documents, he identified as female and wanted his name to reflect that identification. The application was signed by his mother, Mary Grace Westman, since Robin was a minor at the time. Later, Westman expressed regret in his journal, writing, "I am tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself." Westman's mother, Mary Grace Westman, age 65, worked as an administrative assistant in the business office of Annunciation Catholic Church and School from 2016 to 2021. She retired in August 2021, with the church praising her hospitality and compassion in a Facebook post. Currently, she resides in Naples, Florida, and has been uncooperative with law enforcement. She retained criminal attorney Ryan Gary, known for representing protesters during the 2020 George Floyd demonstrations. It's peculiar that a devout Catholic conservative and an anti-abortion activist made such a choice, which brings to question who set her up with and is paying for that attorney. Mary Grace reportedly struggled with Robin's gender transition and behavior issues, but as noted, she did sign Westman's name change application in November 2019. Robert was the youngest of 3 children. His parents divorced in 2013 after 25 years of marriage, which appears to have been the beginning of his troubles. Westman's maternal uncle, Robert Helleringer, is a former Republican member of the Kentucky House of Representatives. He told the Associated Press he barely knew Robin and last saw him at a family wedding years ago. Robert Westman had no significant criminal history, only minor traffic citations in 2021. He was not on any watch lists, and police found no record of civil commitments for mental health issues. Westman's journal and videos detail severe depression, suicidal and homicidal ideation, and a fixation on mass shooters since 7th grade. He wrote, "I am severely depressed and have been suicidal for years." He also expressed fears of lung cancer from vaping. Westman denied ever talking to a therapist after his 7th grade suspension, and so far there is no confirmation of prescription drug use for antidepressants. However, his mother admitted that she and her husband allowed him to start taking female hormones in his teens. I suspect that more will come to light in the future. Many are already assuming that he was on hormones and antidepressants, and estimates suggest that 60 to 80% of male to female transgenders are on hormones, and about 40 to 60% are on antidepressants, so the probability that he was on some pharmaceuticals at some time is high, and you don't need to currently be on certain drugs to be experiencing psychosis induced previously. Westman legally purchased a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol shortly before the attack, in which he fired 116 rifle rounds, 3 shotgun shells, and 1 handgun round, which malfunctioned. He barricaded the church doors with wooden 2x4s so students couldn't escape and used a possible smoke bomb. He shot at the victims through a stained glass window, and he had firearms and magazines that were marked with hateful phrases like Jew gas, kill Donald Trump, names of mass shooters, and sponsored by BlackRock. Westman posted 2 videos on a Robin W. YouTube channel showing the journal, weapons, and a church sketch. He mumbled phrases like, "I want to kill myself," giggled, and used a pink vape. The videos were posted hours before the attack and were removed by the FBI. However, I have a full copy of the journal and other videos, and you are seeing excerpts in this video. Westman visited Annunciation School within 3 months of the attack to scout entrances and exits, noting teacher locations and door handles. Westman's father is James Westman, and he owns a home in South Minneapolis, less than a mile from the school where the shooting occurred. His home was searched shortly after the shooting, and police seized a tactical vest, media storage devices, and documents. Neighbors describe James and Robin's stepmother as friendly and apolitical, with no signs of being a gun family. An unverified Facebook screenshot suggests James supported Robin's name change with a happy 18th birthday Robin post. Here's where it gets good and what the mainstream media is not reporting. James, his father, worked as a senior application developer at a company named ESRI for 29 years and 7 months. ESRI stands for Environmental Systems Research Institute, Incorporated, and it's a global leader in geographic information systems software with various contracts with United States government agencies, including the CIA and the Department of Defense, through GSA schedules and enterprise license agreements. ESRI collaborates with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency on the ICGIS portal, used by the CIA and others for intelligence. His LinkedIn profile has been removed, but James has a Master of Science in Environmental Monitoring and a Bachelor of Science in Conservation and Natural Resources. I saw a comment from someone that said, "Damn, it's getting predictable," and they are right. The first thing I look for is military or government connections. I will link a video about other mass shooters and qualities of Manchurian candidates. One characteristic is they always wind up dead after the shooting, obviously because dead men tell no tales. Another interesting thing that I found was that Peter Thiel of Palantir and PayPal has reported on the father's connections to the CIA. The page is linked, and as a side note, I'll mention that going through Thiel's webpage, I noted that his page appears to be pro-conservative. Lastly, we are going to talk about the journals, described as a manifesto by police but characterized by CNN as a jumbled stream of consciousness window into the shooter's troubled state of mind. The journals were written in primarily English words, but he used Cyrillic script as a cipher to mask its contents. The journal, along with videos posted to a now-deleted YouTube channel under Robin W., provides insight into Westman's motivations, obsessions, and planning for the attack. Authorities, including Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara, confirmed the journal's existence and are reviewing it to determine a motive, with some entries shared publicly through media translations, some of which are in this video. The transcriptions cover entries written over several months, with the latest dated August 21, 2025, and reflect Westman's mental state, violent fantasies, and personal struggles. On May 23, 2025, Westman wrote, "I have a deep fascination with one man in particular, Adam Lanza. Sandy Hook was my favorite, I think, exposure of school shootings. Adam Lanza killed 26 people, including 20 children. The journal also includes references to other mass shooters, such as Anders Breivik, the 2011 Norway attacker with 77 deaths, Robert Bowers, the 2018 Pittsburgh synagogue shooting with 11 deaths, and Natalie Rupnow, the Abundant Life shooter." Westman listed these names on gun magazines, indicating that he had a fixation with mass shooters for some time, and he expressed a desire to follow in the footsteps of murderers and wrote, "I am a sick F blank K. I want to kill as many as I can. I want to top the lists." To me, this supports his need for attention and validation of being the best at something, even if it is so morbid. Westman detailed specific plans for the Annunciation attack, including a hand-drawn diagram of the church's interior, which was shown in a YouTube video where he stabbed the drawing with a knife saying, "Ha, nice." The diagram included door handles and teacher locations indicating premeditation. An entry from August 21st described visiting the church under the pretense of reconnecting with Catholicism, noting, "I looked at door handles, calculated how to best lock victims inside, and noted where teachers were located. This shows meticulous planning." Westman wrote, "Maybe I could attack an event at the on-site church. I think attacking a large group of kids coming in from recess is my best plan. Then from there I can go inside and kill, going for as long as I can." His goal was clearly to maximize casualties. The journal also mentions attempting to buy a rifle from an acquaintance and opining that it should be harder for people like me to carry out these attacks. This suggests a liberal approach to gun control and an awareness of his own dangerous intentions. Westman also wrote about long-term depression and suicidal thoughts, stating, "I am severely depressed and have been suicidal for years. Only recently have I lost all hope and decided to perform my final action against this world. This is what is so scary to me. He's 23, has been suicidal for years, which begs the question if he was depressed when he transitioned at 17, and perhaps recognizing his dysphoria as a mental health issue could have saved 3 lives and the pain of so many. He also expressed health anxiety, believing that he had lung cancer from heavy vaping, writing, "I think I am dying of cancer. It's a tragic end as it's entirely self-inflicted. I did this to myself as I cannot control myself and have been destroying my body through vaping and other means. I have felt many pains that make me think I am past the point of recovery. I do not want to throw my life away by rotting in a hospital bed." This is just so sad to me, and people are saying terrible things about this young man, but to me it's clear that he was suffering from a severe mental condition induced by DEI brainwashing and the notion that it is normal. This young man clearly was damaged irrevocably, as you will see as we continue. Despite acknowledging a supportive family, Westman wrote, "I have a loving family and a good support system of people that want to see me thrive. For some reason, the fact that I have a pretty good life and the fact that I want to kill people have never correlated to me." Most telling was that Westman expressed regret over his transgender identity, writing, "I only keep the long hair because it is pretty much my last shred of being trans. I am tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself. I can't cut my hair now as it would be an embarrassing defeat, and it might be a concerning change of character that could get me reported. I will probably chop it on the day of the attack." Another entry stated, "I don't want to dress girly all the time, but I guess sometimes I really like it. I know I am not a woman, but I definitely don't feel like a man." In spite of a clear mental disorder, his motives still remain a mystery. Westman explicitly denied a religious or political motive, writing, "This is not a church or religion attack. That is not the message. The message is there is no message. Despite his denial of an instigating factor, the journal and videos contained anti-Semitic and racist slurs with phrases like Jew gas, Israel must fall, and kill Donald Trump written on gun magazines alongside references to the Holocaust. These were not framed as the primary motive but part of a broader expression of hate. Now I want you to imagine that your child wrote the following: "Find me, I am begging for help, I am screaming for help," after noting a family member's comment about his dark energy. He knew he was sick. What we don't know is if he ever told this to anyone. It appears there's a shame issue about being wrong about his gender dysphoria, and this makes sense if there were familial resistance to his transition, which it appears there was. In a YouTube video, Westman whispered, "I love my family," and wrote, "I'm so sorry" in large letters on one page, addressing family and friends in a 4-page suicide note. He also said, "I'm sorry to my family, that's the only people I'm sorry to," in a video. Sadly, this shows a lack of any sort of remorse about the havoc that he planned to wreak. This is a sign of psychosis, which is a side effect of many of these drugs that these confused transgender kids are put on. Robert also wrote about hating fascism and laughed about killing high-profile figures like Elon Musk or Donald Trump or some significant exec. The journal included a note to a family member, chewing them out for being estranged and urging them to reconnect with his mother, but that estranged member is not called out, perhaps his dad. Earlier in 2025, Westman wrote about deciding not to carry out an attack to spare family pain, showing moments of hesitation before ultimately proceeding. Westman wrote the majority of the journal in English, but used Cyrillic letters which are used in Slavic countries like Russia and Ukraine. Westman wrote, "I really just want a place to put my thoughts. I can't talk to a therapist or family because I will immediately be reported and put on a watch list." My observation is that this kid was not only sociopathic by this time, but also paranoid, which is yet another symptom of drug-induced psychosis. The journal consisted of 3 notebooks with the last entry dated August 21st, 2025. All were written primarily in Cyrillic script, with some English phrases. In a 20-minute YouTube video posted hours before the attack, Westman flipped through these notebooks. How was such an obsession with killing missed by his parents, teachers, and friends? So that's a lot to digest, but I want to make a couple of closing statements. First, you will notice on the page that you are seeing that on July 29th, the shooter foretold the date of the shooting on the upper right as "OK Go" and 8/27. That means that he set the date for this tragedy almost a month before. This young man was clearly a victim and an omen to where our society was headed. It demonstrates the need for parents to take control of this LGBT ideation that has been forced on our children. Parents are supposed to protect their children, and I do understand that they often try to do the right thing. It's highly likely that medical professionals and government authorities were fear-bombing the parents with suicide statistics. The risks, complications, and side effects were rarely discussed or mitigated, so there was never truly informed consent for many of these medical decisions. I think it's important to keep in mind that everybody in this situation is a victim of a dark evil force determined to destroy and consume anything pure and good in this world. Something that comes to mind is that when it's all revealed, people are going to demand compensation, and that's where Nasara Gesara will be introduced. Everything we are seeing confirms 17 from 2017. So please be kind, be compassionate, and be thankful that this madness is slowly turning around.